On today's video we're going to be welding stainless steel and showing you what happens when you use 2 little amps, and also on the reverse side what happens when you use too many amps and how that reacts with the material. When welding stainless steel, the properties inside are such that the material will distort very fast if you add a lot of heat. For this example we have shown you we're working at 50 amps, and as you can see our welding puddle is not running so smoothly. We're having problems fusing into the material and also melting our wire. So if we're welding stainless steel and we start encountering these problems, we immediately know that our amps are set too low and we need to adjust our settings. So after deciding that the 50 amps would not work, we've now changed our settings to 90 amps, and we're going to have a look at what happens to the stainless steel when welding at 90 amps. So as we can see, we've got a welding puddle and the wire is dipping quite nicely. So as a rule of thumb, when TIG welding, it should be 30 amps per millimetre roughly. However, I always find that using slightly less tends to work a lot better, as you have a lot more control over the weld pool. Now as we can see from this angle, we are fusing into the material, but as we're working with thin plate, the further we get down this plate, you can see now the pool's starting to go out of control. Inside the stainless steel, all the atoms are heating up, therefore conducting down the steel. However, we're using direct current, so we are constantly pumping 90 amps into this joint, which is constantly heating the material up. As a result of this, the steel is therefore going to deform, and the technical term we use for that in the industry is distortion. Very shortly we're going to ask you to do something, so make sure you stay tuned as we're going to look to test your knowledge. A key point on this video. So moving on, we've now set our amps to 130 amps. So we want you to watch this, tell us what's happening to the material, and then the key point, tell us how many amps you think we used for the last run. Or if you're a bit more experienced, let us know how many amps you use for 3mm material. So if you guessed anywhere from 65 to 80 amps, this would have been a good answer depending on the speed of your welding. But for this run we chose to weld at 70 amps. And as you'll see how this welds with the fusion into both sides and actually how the weld material is flowing, whilst not overheating our material, which means we can get a good consistent weld all the way down the joint. And very shortly you're going to see a picture of all 4 different welds that we used, one at 50 amps, one at 90 amps, one at 130 amps, and the one we've just used now at 70 amps. And as we can see, the most consistent one is our 70 amps, and it's got a nice consistent run all the way down the joint. On this next video that you can see on the screen now, we're going to turn the amps even higher and show you what happens.